Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Chasing the Moon RV. My name is Zia, and I have been making videos about my full-time nomad life in my shuttle bus, Emma 2. Now that's about to change, and that has to do with the title of today's video. What I'm going to share with you today are the 5 things I realize that I do when I'm confronted with unexpected changes in my life. Some of the smaller ones we can accept easily, and I know that all of us, especially since most of my subscribers and viewers are middle-aged and more senior than that, we've all undergone a lot of changes in our lives. And I've been thinking about it a lot because recently this change in my health situation and in the change that's going to happen regarding my nomad life, really got me thinking, pondering about what I've done in the past. And I've had some major changes happen where I've had to reinvent my life before. And this is just going to be another chapter. As they say, we do but turn another page. And after pondering for a little while, I realized there are 5 things that I tend to do every time. And here's the first. I write a pros and cons list. And when I'm writing that pros and cons list, I think of every aspect of my life. What is the impact going to be on my finances? What is the impact going to be on my health, on my family and friend situation? Everything I can think of, I write down on my list. I've always been a list writer, even just day-to-day tasks that I have to accomplish. Hopefully I find more pros than cons, and that I find ways to overcome the cons and make them acceptable in some way, or bypass them in some way, or make them not as important as maybe I thought they were at first. So I write a pros and cons list. The second thing I do once I overcome maybe the shock of the change that's going to occur is I let go and I trust, because I truly do believe and trust that everything happens for a reason. I have felt that for as long as I can remember. Whether good or bad, I believe everything happens for a reason. And sometimes the negative or bad things, changes that happen in our lives, which can be devastating at the time and seem insurmountable, often lead to bigger positive changes, or the possibility of positive changes in our lives. I know for me in particular that has been the case, that sometimes when I was at my lowest point and didn't know how I was going to go on, the change that had occurred, the shift that I had to make, led me to something I never would have expected, and led me to something that was an extremely positive direction for me to go in. The third thing I do is plan. As best I can, and in this particular case for me, given that there are still unknowns, because although I know I will find an apartment, it won't be an apartment of my choosing. it will be one of several buildings that I wrote down as possibilities for me. One of them is a brand new building, and several of them are older buildings that I've never even been in before. So I have no idea what to expect in the way of what my new home will look like. But I start to plan and begin considering some of the changes that will mean. For example, one of the buildings that I have my name down for is not in Richmond. It's in the next suburb away from Vancouver in an area called Ladner. I used to live there years ago. I had a lovely house out there. So that's going to mean some changes for me. And that's where the brand new building is, and where a friend of mine lives as well. And so I have to start thinking about those possibilities and what that's going to mean. How do I get to various places from these different areas that I might find myself living in, and those sorts of things. So I start planning. I also think about other changes that will be required, and how these changes will affect my finances, for example. Living full-time in my shuttle bus, I haven't had to pay rent. I haven't had to pay for utilities. And so even though the rent will be within my budget, it's going to be very, very tight for me. And that's going to mean I'm going to require some extra income. I am thinking about ideas now on how I can increase my income a bit every month. Right now I am just on a couple of fixed pensions, and the expenses that I will have will sort of take me right to the edge of what I'm capable of doing, let's put it that way. So planning at this stage is really important. The fourth thing I do is I start manifesting and visualizing. Now, I know to many of you, those words sound very woo-woo, but I have experienced some amazing things happen when I have tried to manifest. I'm going to give you some examples of that. I found out just in the last day or two that apparently, and I haven't checked this myself, but apparently the most Googled word this past year, 2024, was manifest. And as I say, I have personal experience with that. I think probably the most unbelievable story of manifesting that I did that I can share with you was when I was in Italy in 2011. I had a friend who was staying in Assisi over Christmas. And at the beginning of January, I went to join her for 3 weeks. And she was about to write her second book of poetry, and she had seen some of my photographic art and was interested in maybe collaborating with me and having some of my photography in her second book of poetry. And so I went to Italy, loaded down with my camera, which had several different lenses with it. This was a really good SLR camera. Several different size lenses, so I had a big camera bag. I had my laptop with me. I had my suitcase with me. I was carrying a lot of stuff. And after I had finished my visit with her, I was in the Florence airport waiting to fly home, and sitting in the waiting area for the shuttle bus that was going to take us out onto the runway to our plane. And so I got on the shuttle bus and sat down and started to look around me, and I went, oh my gosh, where's my camera? My camera bag was missing. And I was in an absolute panic. I had about probably 1,200 photos I had taken in Italy on that camera. And plus, the camera and the lenses were worth a lot of money. So I was in an absolute panic. When the shuttle bus stopped and people started to get out to walk up the stairs into the plane, I ran over to the attendant and said to her, my camera bag's missing. I think I left it in the waiting room. So she said, okay, well, you've got to board the plane. I'll send someone in to have a look for it. So I said, okay. So I started to walk towards the stairs, just praying that they were going to find it. And got onto the plane and into my seat, and the attendant came up to me and said, it wasn't in the waiting room. We will, if we come across it. I said, well, I could have left it in the duty free. I was looking for a scarf for my mother at the time. She said, well, we can have a look, but, we'll just have to forward it to you if we find it. So I sat in my seat. I was in a window seat, and I looked out, and I was crying. I was so devastated, and I thought, I'm never going to get that camera back. All those memories, all that art that was on there, I've lost. And then I suddenly got quite calm, and I looked out the window, and I just said to the powers that be, I don't know why this has happened, but I want my camera, and I want it back now. And then I let it go. I just let it go. I didn't know how that could possibly happen, but I let the thought go. I had put it out there, and I thought, it's going to happen. I'm going to get my camera back. Well, the next thing I know, they're closing the plane door and locking it, and the captain comes on the speaker and says, ladies and gentlemen, we're preparing for takeoff. And I hear the engine start. But I stayed calm anyway. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, that's fine. And we're waiting to taxi. And then the captain comes back on again and says, sorry, there's been a slight delay. We will be taking off as soon as possible. And then the next thing I know, I see one of the little carts, like the little golf carts, come speeding out from the terminal where we had just come from. It came up to the bus. I saw them roll the stairs back in, which had been rolled away. I see them unlock the door, and somebody comes through that door holding my camera bag. I still get goosebumps when I think about that. And the flight attendant burst into a big smile and came walking towards me. And she was almost in tears, and I was almost in tears. And people around were smiling. And she handed me the camera. They locked the door. The stairs were pulled away. And I hear the captain say, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for takeoff. Like I said, I've got goosebumps right now. When does that ever happen? That when somebody has lost something, they actually hold up the plane, put the stairs back, unlock the door to give somebody back their belongings. I manifested it. I really do believe that. I put it out there and my prayers were answered. It's the biggest example I have of trying to manifest something. Now, I've done that since I've had the shuttle bus. I needed to find a way to refrigerate my food. I needed to find a way to power what was going to keep my food cold or frozen. And both times when I thought about it and I put it out there, within a day or two, I would receive an email from a company. Set Power was one of them, who sent me a 55-quart fridge freezer and a slide for it, a slide out from under the counter. Bluetti sent me a very powerful power station to power that. I reached a point 1 month where I'd had a lot of expense and I was going to be short around $1,000 to do some of the things I needed to do for the bus. And I thought, okay, I'm going to put it out there. And I did. I said, I don't know how this could possibly happen. I can't think of what source it would come from, but I need $1,000. And within 2 days, I had received a call from a member who said, I'd like to help you out. This is without even knowing there was any issue. I'd like to help you out. Is it okay if I give you $1,000? Exactly what I'd asked for. And that happened. Since then, and I haven't taken them up on the offer, since then I had been saying, you know, I could really do with an e-bike. And I got an email from a company offering me an e-bike or an e-scooter. And recently I've thought, well, I really need to get new glasses. These ones I've glued together probably 4 times now. I know one day they're just going to fall off my face. I need new glasses. I just this past week had a company reach out and ask me if they could send me a pair of glasses. So I know manifesting works. And what I'm trying to do now with this change that's happening in my life is I'm trying to visualize what it would be like to walk into my new home, to find the things that I need for it, to feel the comfort of having some creature comforts again, and to feel the joy of knowing that I don't have to go and find somewhere to sleep that night, those sorts of things. I'm visualizing it. I have a very vivid imagination, and I'm manifesting it. I'm hoping that it will happen sooner rather than later, and I have a feeling that's going to happen, hopefully by the new year, which is when the weather starts to get really cold. So my the fourth thing I do to deal with unexpected changes in my life is I try to manifest what I need to deal with those changes. And the fifth and final thing that I do is I let go of feeling overwhelmed. I think to myself, I don't have to go from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. I don't have to, sometimes trying to imagine you're here and you've got to get to here. How am I going to do that? That can be really overwhelming. So I let go of that and I say to myself, okay, one day at a time, what am I going to do today? Or what do I need to do today to facilitate this change that's coming in my life? And then once I get there, once the change has occurred, for example, I'm no longer in my shuttle bus. I'm in a new home, a new fixed abode. That's when I get back to living my life the best I can and to the fullest. I don't know what this change is going to mean. I really don't. I don't know where I'm going to be living. I don't know what it's going to look like. I know it'll be very basic and very small, but I'm looking at that as a blank canvas for some creativity. And I am feeling a real pull to be creative again. And so I'm excited now about the change that's coming. It doesn't mean I'm going to give up completely on doing some sort of road trips and having some fun and adventures. I'm always going to find a way to do that. That's part of, I guess, the free spirit side of myself. And I don't know how that's going to look or how I'm going to do that or in what vehicle that's going to happen in. But I am looking at it as an opportunity to actually do more in life than I even have been doing these past 3 years. I'm optimistic that although I'm not going to say although I may not gain my complete kidney health again, miracles happen. And I do believe that healing can happen, that your thoughts often dictate health to some degree, physical and emotional and psychological health. So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about my health. I'm optimistic about the change that's coming in my life. So those are my 5 things that I realize I use to help me deal with changes coming in my life. What about you? I know all of you have had at least one and probably more unexpected changes occur, and I know some of them were probably very devastating for you, whether it had to do with friends or family members or yourself. But what are the tools that you use to cope with the unexpected changes in your life? Maybe try using some of mine. I know they've worked for me well in the past, and you are welcome to borrow them. So that's going to be it for me today. I am going tonight to help my daughter and granddaughters decorate their home for Christmas. I'm really excited about that. I will, as I said, be decorating the bus for Christmas. I will be doing a video on some ways I'm going to inexpensively and hopefully add a little bit of extra insulating into the bus. So look forward to those videos, and in the new year there will probably be some major changes to Chasing the Moon RV. It will still be called Chasing the Moon RV, although the RV part of it may not be as prominent as it is now. But I'm going to carry on with the channel, and I'm really excited about what that may mean in the future. So wherever you are in our incredibly beautiful world, I hope you're having a really wonderful day, and I'm going to say bye-bye for now. I love you all so much. You've been so incredibly kind and supportive and encouraging, especially on my last video, and I appreciate it so much. I love you all. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.